Good morning, everyone. All right, we are going to be switching over to a new topic. We are going to be talking about pre-qualification this month. So thank you all for being here on time. And let's go ahead and get started. We are going to be talking about, of course, becoming better when it comes time to going out and taking listings. So as always, I want to encourage those of you that are joining us on other platforms. Thank you first off for being here and being here on time. I am going to encourage you to please come join us over here on Zoom. It gives us the opportunity. So for those of you that are joining us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, all of those platforms, I just want to take a minute to say thank you guys for, of course, being here. All right, pre-qualification. Why is this important? The pre-qualification, very, very simple, is it does separate us from our competition. So we want to make sure that we understand the purpose of this. Now, pre-qualification, we are talking about seller pre-qualifications so that we're clear. We will talk a smidge about buyers, but we are talking about pre-qualifying and specifically those sellers. And why do we pre-qualify them? Is simply it puts us in a better, stronger position from so many different aspects. So if you have any questions, feel free to just simply jump right on in, and I'd love the opportunity to answer any and all of those questions. Now, on the other platforms, if you can't join us, that's perfectly fine. No problem. Thank you for being here regardless. But I will ask of you to go ahead and type in your questions, and we'll get those questions addressed as we continue to move forward. All right, so let me get to the points. The first thing is pre-qualifying isn't optional. I want to make sure we all understand this. The times that it does bite us in the butt when we go on these listing presentations is because we don't pre-qualify or we don't pre-qualify thoroughly. Okay, so pre-qualification definitely puts us in a stronger, better position. What it's going to do is going to protect your time. It's going to increase your your conversion rate. So in other words, you go on 10 listing appointments. If you go on 10 listing appointments right now and you're taking 5 or 6, awesome, good for you. That's what's called the 50 to 60% listing taken ratio. What we want to do is we want to get it to that next level. And we want to go from 50 to 60, from 60 to 70, from 70 to 80, and then eventually getting on the other side of 90%. My best year ever was probably around 92, 93%. I don't remember the exact number. But in that, how did that come together? Well, simply the importance and knowing the importance of pre-qualification, not cutting corners. So for most realtors, when it comes time to this, they do unfortunately cut those corners. They end up setting an appointment. They don't do any version of pre-qualification, and they simply just show up, and then they do this 45-minute, hour-long talk in hopes the potential seller will end up signing on the contract. But come to find out that the seller isn't ready. They just want information on the value of their home. They already interviewed other realtors. They're seeking a second opinion. They already signed a contract with somebody else. All of these random things that ends up taking place. So those are some things that you want to pay, of course, close attention to. So it's going to help in regards to your conversion rate. The most important thing, though, is that it definitely separates you as that true professional. Okay, and what I mean by that is separates you as a true professional is just simply because of the fact that very, 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 very few realtors go through the pre-qualification. Now, let me ask the audience, when you think of a professional, whatever that is, look at their approach. Now, think of a profession. Who do you consider to be a professional? Okay. So anybody on here, anybody want to volunteer? When I say the word professional, of the people that are on Zoom right now, what do you think of? Just go ahead and unmute yourself and just give me an idea.
Doctor.
Okay, so a doctor. Who else? What else?
Yeah,
Lawyer.
someone that's had like certifications or licenses.
Okay, but who would that be though? What would that be an example of?
Attorneys, nurses.
Okay, attorneys, nurses, doctors. Anybody else? How about like a dentist? How about I don't know, somebody who's making, 7 figures. Now, do they pre-qualify? They do. Now, this is their version of pre-qualification. Let me give you an example. You go through, I set an appointment, I'll go through. I set an appointment with a doctor as an example. Can I go in there and just simply say, hey, this is Robert. Can you have the doctor ready for me? I'm going to be there at 1 o'clock. Well, good luck. I mean, unless that doctor's in my back pocket, the likelihood is I'm not going to be able to go in and just simply see the doctor at 1 o'clock. They're going to ask me, are you a new patient? Yeah, I'm a new patient. Okay, great. Well, what we need you to do before you come in and we set that appointment is we need you to fill out the new patient's forms. And in the new patient forms, unfortunately, we don't have anything for today at 1 o'clock, but we can get you in, April 15th. And we can do that at 4 o'clock. Well, I guess. Okay, fine. Let's do that. I go see the doctor. And as I go see the doctor, what am I doing? Do I simply walk in and go right into the patient room? No, that doesn't happen. The doctor, I don't even see the doctor yet. I walk in and I see the receptionist. Hi, my name is Robert. I'm here for my 4 o'clock appointment. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Mr. Villanueva. Go ahead and fill out these forms. Okay, we'll be with you in just a minute or 30 to 45 minutes. I'm filling out the forms. Okay, sometimes they're a little efficient and they send it to me in advance, but either way, there's new patient forms. And then I turn them in. And as I turn them in, what are they doing with those forms? They're going through, okay, let's take a look. Let's see Robert's history. Let's pull up whatever charts we possibly have. Let's go through all of these different things. Let's make sure Robert has a form of payment. Now, as far as this form of payment is concerned, how is he going to pay? Is he a cash patient? Does he have the money in advance? Is he a person on insurance? And then after 30 to 45 minutes, they finally go, okay, Robert, thank you. Doctor will be with you in just a minute. Now it's 4:45 for my 4 o'clock appointment. Mr. Villanueva, come on in. And then what are they doing at that point in time? Now they're taking my vitals. Would you would you please jump on the scale? Okay, let's take your blood pressure. Let's check your temperature. Okay, go ahead and sit down right there. The doctor will be right with you. It's now 5 o'clock. I still haven't seen the doctor. Then the doctor walks in at 5:15 and the doctor goes through. What does he do? Pulls a chart and goes, okay, so 38-year-old gentleman, okay, weighs so much. Hey, you got a few extra pounds on you. Okay. Blood pressure seems to be okay. It's a little bit of high blood pressure. We do got to watch that. How's your diet, by the way? Okay, good. So what brings you in today? Before he even goes through and identifies what the issue is, I've been pre-qualified, 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 and pre-qualified. And it doesn't matter. Every single last profession you guys just mentioned. But what do realtors do? What realtors basically do is they set an appointment and they go out there and they go, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, let's sit down and talk for the next hour, hour and a half, and let's talk about how amazing I am. You guys ready? Okay, good. It's only gonna be 90 minutes. Don't worry about it. Okay, I'm gonna go through my 67-page booklet about me and my company. So what do you guys think? You guys ready? You guys like with what I'm gonna do for you guys? Are you gonna think about it? Okay. All right. Well, yeah. How much time are you guys gonna think about? Okay. So, okay, give you guys through the weekend. All right. Cool. Well, then I'll check back with you next week and see what you guys think. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. It truly was a pleasure meeting you guys. I look forward to helping you. And then do we get that call back? We don't. Okay. We don't. Pre-qualification, as I talk about, it's gonna set you apart. And when it sets you apart, you're going to be setting yourself apart by one of two things. And I want you guys to understand the importance of this. Number one is their motivation. You want to know the purpose of why they're wanting to make this move. When I'm working with a coaching client and I ask them, I said, awesome, great job in regards to setting an appointment. Great job. Okay, what's their motivation? Oh, well, they live in a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home and they want a bigger house. Okay, but what's their motivation? Well, I think because they want more home. Okay, well, thanks, Captain Obvious. Okay, but what is that going to do for them? How's that going to help them? What's the benefit? How is that going to actually get them to that next level? I don't know. So they don't know the motivation, and yet they go on this presentation. So I want to make sure that my coaching clients have this information in advance. Okay. And then if you guys have any questions, feel free either type them in or feel free to go ahead and ask them away as I'm going through this. Any questions that I can address? Was that any insights on anything you want to provide?
No, I think you're being really thorough.
So in identifying their motivation, we want to know who, what, when, where, why, how,
15.
and the occasional if. Okay. Who, what, when, where, why, how, and the occasional if. Who's most excited about this move? Okay, what's the benefit of making this move? Where is it that you guys are wanting to move to? Why is this move so important for you guys? How soon are you wanting to be there? If we were to sell your home in the next 90 days, would that be a pro or would that be a con? Okay. So in that, what we want to do is we want to go through our pre-qualification script, and we're going to go through and we're going to break all of that down throughout the entire month. Now, I did talk about a second point. Anybody want to take a stab as to why we go through pre-qualify besides identifying their motivation? Anybody? Give it a stab.
Well, we just figure out whether or not they are able to buy or sell.
Yeah, absolutely. Identifying whether they can or can't. Okay. There's something in specific I'm looking for, though. Anybody else want to take a stab at it?
I think all the questions start with open end
Okay.
will help them to think for themselves and go to a deeper level why they do certain things. So that will be strong enough for them to push through when the challenge come.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and with what you guys are talking about is still motivation. Okay, it's great responses, but it's still more motivation. What I'm seeking is number two, and number two is the potential objections we're going to get. How would you like to have the answer to the test? What if you had an open book listing presentation? And in that open book listing presentation, sat there and said, okay, the seller is going to ask you about your commission. Seller is going to ask you about how long it's going to take. Seller is going to ask you about how much money they're going to make. Seller is going to tell you that the other agent said that they could do it for this. The other agent said that they were going to do the following. How many of you would like the opportunity to have that in advance? Okay.
I would.
One of two things. Thank you for that. Number one is you need to know their motivation. You got to know why they're making that move. If you don't know why they're making that move, you don't know how to handle the conversation. Number two, the objections. What objections are you going to be dealing with? If you found out that you're going to a listing presentation, and let's say, for example, it's a $2 million listing. That's a great listing. But in this, you found out that they already interviewed another realtor. They're going to interview another realtor, and they have another realtor on deck, potentially 4 other realtors. Would you go in there with the same song and dance that you usually do? Or would you take a little bit of a different approach? Would you want to know what maybe the other realtors offered? Would you want to know with what maybe the, is there a commission adjustment that some of the other realtors were potentially offering? Having that information in advance, it gives us the opportunity to, of course, better present. Okay. So any questions, anything that I can address? All right, let's
I
move
was
on.
going to say I think you've mentioned it before, but before you mentioned the objections, I was thinking the personality style. But that's not one of the two.
No, that's a great point. As a matter of fact, that's one of the things that I want to talk about as we continue to move forward. But since you bring that up, Lizette, it does. It helps us identify as to who we're talking to. So as we're going through identifying their motivation, identifying what potential objections, and as Lizette mentioned, that's the doctrine of it. Okay, so I love the fact that my partner here is talking about, personality styles. Because when we go out and present, is it good to know if you're talking to somebody that's a driver? Would it be good to know if you're talking to somebody who's analytical? What about somebody who's an expressive? What about somebody who's an amiable? Now, why is this important? The reason why this is important is if I do the same exact song and dance, and I'm talking to the driver and I go, hey, here's the 67 pages we're going to go through. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to dissect my 23-point plan of action, and I'm going to go through and tell you in detail. Okay. As a matter of fact, I'm going to show you a catalog regarding all of the different things. I'm going to show you all of the different types of postcards we have an option of. I have 17 different postcards that you get the opportunity to choose from, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. The driver's like, where the F is my gun? Right? That's what the driver's saying. But the analytical's like, yeah, tell me more. I want to know every single last detail. So for one, it's euphoria. For the other, it's like, shoot me now. So it's good to identify with what some of those things are. So I'm glad Lizette mentioned that because all of those are part of that discovery process. Now, anybody go in a listing presentation and didn't take it, be vulnerable here in the last 30 days. Anybody want to volunteer? Now everybody's taking their listings. Okay, I'll come up with a hypothetical. So let's say, for example, and if you have, it's cool. I'm not trying to put you in a negative position. So when you don't take a listing, do you know why? Do you know why you didn't take the listing?
Because of the price.
There we go. Love it. Okay, so as far as the price is concerned, and if I may ask you, did you know the price that they were wanting before you opened the door and did your presentation?
Yes,
Okay, good. Good job. Now, the price that they were wanting is what?
it's high and nothing to back it up.
What's the high though? What's that number? Give me a number.
For example, if the comp and the price they want is a big gap, and but I still go just to get experience. But if they still start on the motivation, then I will not take it.
Okay, but is this an actual presentation that you went to, or are you just kind of using it as an example?
Actually, this is an actual presentation.
Okay, so the sellers wanted how much?
The seller wants 1.2, but the
1.2.
comp is a big gap. So
Okay,
I
and
get
your professional opinion, what is that home worth?
my professional opinion is about 1.1.
Okay, so you're not too far off. So in this, thank you, Anne, for using that as an example. Now, anybody else ever experience this ever in their career? Almost everybody does. So when we go into the presentation, the very first thing I want to make sure everybody understands when we get to the listing presentation side of things, I don't want you giving them your price, and I'll explain further. So the last thing I want Anne to do is go to this presentation and say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we should sell it at 1.1. Because even if Anne feels strongly that that 1.1 is going to cause the home to sell and it doesn't sell, well, guess whose fault it is? Okay. So what we need to do is, in this case, we're going to go through the presentation and we're going to unfortunately lowlight the purpose, the downfalls, I should say, of not overlisting it. At the end of my presentation tonight, really, there's going to be one of two things, and that's going to take place. Number one is, we have to decide on what price you're wanting, and number two is how long you want to be on the market. Okay. Now, did you want to be on the market for a long period of time? No, of course not. So then price is really going to be one of the main factors. Now let's go through. I want to quickly ask you some of the questions I asked you over the phone, or let's review the questions I asked you over the phone. We go through, we look at the questions, and I say, look, there's really two parts of the research I'm going to share with you. Number one is with what we call as fantasy land. That's where a lot of homeowners and unfortunately non-professional agents will list their home for, and they unfortunately don't sell. We don't want to be there, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. We'd rather be in a position where we can be like most professional agents, like myself, where not only do we list it at a fair price, but we get it sold within a reasonable amount of time. Now, as I asked you earlier, you want to get your home sold and you want to move on to the next place, right? Now, remind me again, what was the purpose and the benefit of making this move? Understood, to be closer to mom. So as far as being closer to mom, how does mom feel about you guys making this move? She's excited. Okay, what are you guys most looking forward to when you get over to San Diego? Yeah, spending more time. What would you guys be doing if you guys were to spend more time? Oh, I love that. Going to church together, spending some Sunday brunches. So just basically enjoying each other's company. How often are you guys doing that now? Okay, so every other month? Yeah. How would mom feel about you doing it almost every week? Ecstatic. She's super excited. I totally get that. So as you can see, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, the price that we do put on the home is going to be a big, big factor. But let's go ahead and continue to move forward. And we go into the presentation. Okay. And Mr. and Mrs. Seller, do I have your permission to tell you the truth, nothing but the truth? Yeah. Because the last thing I want to do is be like any other realtors. I know you've spoken to a few other realtors. Last thing I want to do is give you a price that's going to appease you. I want to tell you the truth and nothing but the truth so that it's going to help you get this home sold. Do I have your permission? And we're continuing to chip away, chip away, chip away, chip away, chip away, chip away on price. Then we get into the comps, and guess what I'm doing? Yeah, look at this one here, 1.2. I know it's the price you're wanting, but it's an active property. And look at the number that's on there, the DOM. Yeah, right below that, 123. Do you know what that means? That means that that property's been on the market for 123 days. Let's do the math. So that's basically 30, 60, 90, 100. Ooh, that's 4 months. I mean, if I remember correctly, you have your kids that are going to be starting a new school year. Is that correct? Okay. So let's do the math. We got April, May, June, July, and then we still have to go through escrow. So that's basically going to put us August. I mean, we're probably looking at August, September. When do the kids start school? August 15th. Ouch. So we know that $1.2 million price isn't going to work for us. We know that. So I'm already chipping away little by little. So by the time I get to the point where I say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we've already seen these 6 comps. And of these 6 comps, we know that the ones that are causing it to sell is 1.05, 1.075, and 1.1. We know that those are selling. But we also know that your competition at 1.2, 1.25, those are not selling. So my question to you, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, is what price do you feel we need to use in order to get your property sold? So you still want to try 1.2. I understand that. I know your home is a better home. I completely agree with you. Your home is a better home. As everybody always thinks the same. Let's do this. I want to give you the opportunity. Let's give it a shot. Let's go on the market at 1.2. Let's see if it actually works. However, what we're going to do is not take the approach of this one here that's been on the market for 123 days. Instead, what I'd rather do is go on the market for 2 weeks. Let's test the market. Let's see if it actually works. And if it doesn't work, we need to go to plan B. And plan B is the price that I think, in my professional opinion, is going to cause your home to sell. And that's going to be 1.1. We don't have to worry about the 1.1 right now. What we'll do is we'll test it out at 1.2, give it 2 weeks. If it doesn't sell, we need to be on the same page so we're not wasting any more time, so we can be with mom, so you can have your Sunday brunch, so you can go to church, so you can get the kids enrolled in school before the school year's over. Now, there is going to be the possibility, especially in today's market, where the market is a little bit slower. It is a little bit more stagnant. The average days on market is about 47 days. If the home does not sell within that 30-day window, we need to be prepared to go even to plan C. But I don't want to worry about that right now. What we need to do is we need to get people to come in here, see your home, get the feedback, and they're going to tell us whether or not the home is at the right price. 1.2, let's do it. Do me a favor. Go ahead and sign right there. Yep, right there. Go ahead and press hard, please. Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to helping you guys. Now, I understand. I know that's not always in a sense going to work, but what it does, it puts us in a position where I get the opportunity based on the pre-qualification to identify what is going to be the obstacle. Instead of doing the 67-page song and dance and going, what do you think? You guys get that? Okay. Questions, comments, concerns, anything of anything. Any other insights, Lizette, that maybe you want to share?
No, you're good.
So, Robert, a quick question. So when we go to present, we still present the com first before we go into the plan of action, right? Or do the plan of action first before the price?
So as far as the plan of action is concerned, and Lizette has witnessed this before, and she's asked me, not too long ago as well. She goes, hey, I noticed that you don't always do the plan of action. Why is that? And the reason I don't necessarily do the plan of action is because 95% of the time, they're already sold. I don't need to go into making over commitments. The plan of action is a great tool. It's an ace, a solid ace in my back pocket. And I can use that as they go through, and there's all of a sudden the hesitation. Well, let me think about it. What is it that you're thinking about? Well, I don't know. We're not really quite clear in regards to the direction, the whatever, the so on and so forth. Well, let me share with you. This is what really makes me stand out. Is this 23-point plan of action. This is what I do where other agents don't do. And then I use that at that point in time. So I don't pull out the plan of action if I feel like I've already got them sold. I would say out of 10 times, usually about 6 or even 7 of those times, they're sold. So I don't need to do that. So in answering your question, Ann, I don't 100% of the time go into the plan of action unless I feel like I'm just not building that rapport or I have them on the same page. Does that make sense?
Okay, so basically, it's just a tool that to reinforce if you feel they're still shaky after full presentation about the price, handle price objection, then we'll pull the plan of action out.
Yeah, for
Just in
sure.
case.
Yeah, absolutely. It's no different than, if I were to ask the audience, if I were to ask 100 people, and out of the 100 people, how many of you guys would cut your commission? I guarantee you there's going to be about 50 of them out of 100 people that are going to go, I'll cut my commission. Okay, how many of you guys would absolutely not cut your commission under any circumstances? There'll probably be about another 20 or 30 that'll raise their hand and go, I do not cut my commission for any circumstances. Okay, well, what about the rest of you guys? We just want a listing. All right, cool, whatever. Then I go through and I'll ask those 20 or 30 out of 100 people and say, okay, so you won't cut your commission? No. All right, cool. Well, what if you took a $10 million listing and they said to take it at 4%? Well, that's different. Okay, so you would cut your commission. Well, yeah, it's a $10 million listing. Why wouldn't I? Okay, shoot, heck, that's a lot of money already as it is. That's $200,000 in commissions. So you have to determine when and where that minimum standard is going to be. And as an example, going back to the plan of action, you don't have to give up that commission right out the gate. You don't have to show the plan of action right out the gate. Okay. Now, would you be willing to? Sure. I have some coaching clients where I'm like, what the heck's going on? You know, we've been working together for 3 months. You've taken 4 listings, and every single one of them, you're telling me you're taking 2%. Are you the 2% expert? Well, you know, it's just kind of with what I go into the presentation. Well, why are you cutting yourself short? I don't get that. So sure enough, I talked to this particular client that I can sit there and think of. And then this client goes on the next handful of presentations and takes 2 more listings and says, guess what, coach? What's up? These 2, I took them at a full 3% commission. Good. Why didn't you do it with the other ones? Well, it's just kind of a little bit of my tactic. Okay, well, let's change that tactic. So the same thing with what you're asking, Ann. I don't want you 100% of the time to always give away the house. Okay. So, all right, moving on. Anybody have any other questions, comments, concerns? And then, of course, Lisette, if you have any other insights, feel free to just go ahead and jump right on in. All right. So moving on. As I mentioned at the beginning of this, pre-qualifying is, of course, going to instantly set you apart. I'm curious. Let me ask you, okay, we have some very strong agents on here. How many of you on here, if you could raise your hand or just simply unmute yourself and say, I do, how many of you pre-qualify? Okay, so I'm a little concerned about that. Okay, which only
I do. I pre-qualify every time.
Perfect, good job. Okay, so, and I'm sure there's another person or two that does as well. But the point that I'm trying to make, this is your competition. And it's very common. The commonality is that if I were to sit there and ask 10 agents, maybe 1. If I were to ask 100 agents, maybe 8, 10, or 12 will say I pre-qualify. And again, this is your competition. So this is going to set you apart. 95% of your competition doesn't pre-qualify. So right out the gate, it makes you stand out. Now, think about this. Going back to the doctor analogy. I go through and I call and I say, hey, I'd like to see the doctor. Does he have any availability today? Yeah, Mr. Villanueva, we can see you today. What time would you like to come in? I can do 1 o'clock. Would 1 o'clock work? Absolutely. Come on in at 1 o'clock. We have a spot ready for you. Okay, perfect. Then I go to the doctor and I go, hi, my name is Robert. I'm here for my 1 o'clock appointment. Oh, perfect. Thank you. We've been waiting for you, Mr. Villanueva. Come on in. We're going to take you right to the back, right to the seating room. And I go back into the seating room and the doctor comes in and goes, hey, Mr. Villanueva, how can we help you? I don't know about you, but I'm going to be hella nervous because I'm like, what in the world is going on? Is this like some sort of like, am I on candid camera? Right? Is there, I'm going to go right into Yelp and go, okay, well, how many stars does this doctor actually have? What's his rating? And then all of a sudden you go through and you see 1.7 stars. It's actually funny. I have a true story I'll share with you guys here very, very quickly. I had about, I don't know, 7, 8 years ago, I had this really bad gallstone incident. And sure enough, went through all of the, the protocol, went to the initial visit, went to a specialist. They said, Mr. Villanueva, we're going to have a gallstone or take out your gallbladder. We're going to go ahead and have you, come in for what's it called, for your pre-op on this day, and we're going to do the operation on this day. All right, well, God, I'll leave it in your hands. Let's do this. So sure enough, they call me and they go, Mr. Villanueva, you're supposed to be here for your surgery today. And I'm like, no, my surgery's not until May. well, the doctor had an opening and they said that, you know, they could take you in a little bit earlier. I was like, well, that's cool, but I'm at work. There's no way I can be in today. I was like, what the heck is this about? That was weird. So sure enough, I go through and I looked at Yelp. This dude's name was Dr. Dirty Hands. I looked on Yelp. He had like 400 reviews and he was like a 2.1 star. I didn't even know that doctors actually got rated. And sure enough, I called back and I asked the person that basically had called me and I said, hey, there's no way I can come in. Can we reschedule? But I'm looking at here. This doctor doesn't have great reviews. Mr. Villanueva, yeah, you're probably going to want to look at another doctor. What the heck? Anyways, the point that I'm making in regards to this is I literally was turned off by the instantness of it. So it's the same thing with what we're trying to do is create that professionalism. I hope you guys understand. We're going to continue to break down the script. We're going to go over this in way more detail tomorrow. If you guys want, again, more information about coaching, I'm going to encourage you, okay, to feel free to send me a DM. Like I said before, I don't oversell you guys. And then the other great news is, as I mentioned, in the month of April, I'm going to be launching my school platform, which is super phenomenal. I have recorded so much information. I have so much content that I prepared for all that stuff. So instead of having to sit here and wait at bits and pieces, all of that stuff is going to be on School, which is an amazing platform, and it's actually going to be very, very inexpensive. All right, everybody. So I just want to take a minute to say thank you all for being here. Lizette, anything in closing?
No, that's it. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right, everybody. See you guys then. Talk to you then. Thank you.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
very much. That was great.
Thank you.